giving up my current job to take a position that paid 70% less, would you think he was crazy? And if I got fired after just 3 months, would you feel sorry for me? Yes, that person was me, a ridiculously foolish guy. Back then, my classmates judged me exactly like this. Ridiculously foolish. Hello everyone, I'm John, living and working in China. In this video, I want to share with you my thoughts and experiences in the workplace. This is not a success story. It's just the first time I got knocked down in my career, and I want to share it with you. Through this story, let's see what kind of insight you might gain. Have you ever made choices like mine? Did it leave you feeling a big gap or disappointment? Feel free to share your story in the comments. From the age of 18 until now, I've been working for 22 years. During these 22 years, I have worked at 7 companies, plus one I started myself, a total of 8. Thanks to the help of some good mentors, my first 2 jobs went relatively smoothly. In my early 20s, I was already leading a team of more than 50 people. Among my peers, I felt I was doing pretty well. In my second job, my salary was nearly 3,000 yuan. This salary lasted from 2007 until I left in 2009. During this job, I increasingly felt like I was struggling to breathe. So I decided to leave. Why did I feel this way in my second job? You can check out my previous video. Maybe you understand this feeling of helplessness. Another factor was that I wanted to move from manufacturing into sales. I felt that while I was still young, I should change myself. Looking back now, it wasn't really changing myself. I just hadn't figured out who I was. Even before I entered this industry, I had already heard some say it's a cutthroat business. Perform well and you stay. Perform poorly and you're out immediately. Others say it's a career that shows personal charm. The stronger you are, the more you earn. I don't know where I got the courage, but somehow I chose sales. This time, finding a job was not as smooth as before. I only knew that I wanted to work in sales, but I didn't know which industry to choose. So I came to Shenzhen, stayed in a classmate's rented room, and started sending out resumes and attending interviews at the job market. Unfortunately, after 1 month, I had sent applications to many companies and attended many interviews, but no one hired me because I had no experience. To them, I was like a program without code. It looked like it existed, but it had no functions at all. They would need to invest time to write it, test it, and debug it. And even then, they didn't know whether it would eventually run successfully. To be honest, at that time I felt a bit lost. It was like standing at the entrance of the Shenzhen job market, watching people coming and going, feeling like the whole city was running forward while I was still stuck in loading. After 2 months of effort, I finally found a sales job at the job market. The company was in Dongguan, Guangdong. However, the salary was only 800 yuan, 70% lower than my previous job. Those who have watched my previous video know that my first 2 jobs were in factories in the manufacturing industry. I worked in technical and management roles. Without a doubt, factory work is very hard. I once read a book called Empire of Cotton, A Global History. The author is Sven Beckett. The book tells the story of cotton, from hand-spun cloth to the involvement of the British Industrial Revolution and then to the globalization of the industry. It explains that industrial transfer usually moves from high-wage regions to low-wage regions. So you can understand, manufacturing often represents low pay and hard work, especially low-barrier manufacturing. Around the world, even today, manufacturing with low added value, is concentrated in lower income regions. And my first two jobs were also very traditional manufacturing work, hard work and low income. On the other hand, I also felt that I was somewhat timid, even a bit introverted. Sales requires frequently visiting customers, communicating with clients often, and interacting with different people. You see more, you hear more. Over time, by contacting different people and different situations, the good and the bad, your experience grows, your mindset becomes more stable, and your courage increases. In addition, sales is usually linked to performance. Through your personal effort, you can reflect your value. In other words, you may have the opportunity to earn a higher income. At least in most companies in China, sales people are linked to performance. In the first half of 2009, I officially entered the sales industry. This was a field completely unrelated to my previous work. The company had fewer than 10 people in total, and almost all of them were sales staff. The products were manufactured by other companies. Our company purchased them, applied our own labor, and then sold them again. The products were tin-related materials, soda paste, soda bars, and red glue. The target customers were factories engaged in SMT processing. For today's Chinese market, information is increasingly transparent and competition is extremely intense. It's like a game that cannot be paused, exited, or put on hold. Because if you leave for just a few minutes, the system will automatically mark you as out. Starting this kind of sales job for the first time came with many challenges. My living conditions were poor. Although it was free of charge, the apartment had 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. Sounds decent, right? But there were 4 of us. 2 metal bunk beds, 1 bamboo mat, no mattress, and no comfort at all. At that moment, I finally understood. This job came with a growth package. Previously, I lived in a large dormitory room for 4 people. There were 4 5-meter wide spring beds. Only 2 people stayed there, and the other person only used the room during the day to rest because at night he went home to sleep with his wife. Yes, he was a married man. That dorm room had a dressing table and a wardrobe. No rent was required. Only water and electricity had to be paid. As for food, the company only provided 1 lunch meal. The rest was up to you. My monthly food expenses were about 500 yuan, plus other unpredictable costs. So, with a salary of 800 yuan per month, I had no saving. Sometimes, I even had to pay out of pocket. I became very frugal. Even inviting someone to a meal required careful consideration because that 1 meal could equal a whole week on my food budget. In my previous job, my food cost was only 300 yuan per month. 3 meals a day were included. The meals were very abundant. Sometimes, when I talked to people, I even felt like I carried the smell of food on my body. Perhaps you may wonder how a beginner like me started working. 2 words: find people. A senior colleague in the company became my leader. He gave me basic product training and took me to visit his customers. He let me stay by his side and learn about the product, how to use it, what problems might occur, how to handle those problems, how to communicate with clients, and so on. For understanding what problems might happen and how to deal with them, in addition to on-site learning, it would have been better to have an FMEA manual. FMEA stands for Failure Mode and Effect Analysis. I learned this in my second company. and I even created an FMEA document for the department I managed. That document was highly recognized by the factory manager and the head office leadership at that time. After simple training, I started working. Yes, just like that. In China, there is a saying, rushing a duck onto the perch. It means being pushed into work. That was exactly my situation at the time. My work mainly involved this, finding target customers and their contact through various channels. This included instant messaging tools, search engine, forums, personal networks, and any possible source. At that time, except for sleeping, I was constantly thinking about how to find customers. Most of the contacts I found were company front desk phone numbers. They were landlines. Yes, mobile phones were not yet widely used. Then I started calling the front desk of target companies, introducing myself and the product I was selling. Some receptionists would transfer me to the person in charge. Some would simply hang up. At that time, your enthusiasm was like a burning fire, but the other person was like a bucket of cold water, extinguishing it instantly. My boss did not care about the process. He only cared about results. And this was also the reason I was eliminated, because my results did not satisfy him. I was not good at phone sales at all. But another colleague of mine was extremely good at it. He could always chat enthusiastically with the front desk girls as if they were very close, almost like dating. Then he would successfully connect with the purchasing department. I truly admire him. After getting in touch with the purchasing department, I began introducing myself and my products and tried to arrange an on-site visit as well as obtain their direct extension number. That way, next time I call, I would not need to go through the front desk. Sometimes I would invite my supervisor to go with me, but most of the time I went alone. Visiting customers in 2009 was not as convenient as it is today. Everything had to be carefully planned before leaving. The customer's address, the bus route, departure time, arrival time, and finishing time all had to be arranged in advance. If it was too late, there might not even be any buses available. At that time, my Nokia phone was not as smart as today's smartphone. So everything related to travel had to be planned carefully. Compared to that, salespeople today have it much easier. They can change their plans anytime, anywhere. Even at 1 or 2 in the morning, they can go out for late night food, have a big meal, and then go back for a good sleep. I worked here for 3 months. I only closed one small client. My result did not satisfy my boss. On my last day at work, my supervisor had a meeting with me. He told me in a very polite way, "You are out." I understood this result and accepted it calmly. I went downstairs to buy some snacks and drinks and distributed them to every colleague. Then I quietly walked out of the company gate and returned to the dormitory to pack my luggage. 3 months later, I ended this job. At that time, I did not regret this career choice. What surprised me, however, was how real it was, how ruthless it was, leaving no time for you to adjust. After that, I returned to Shenzhen and found another sales job there, but its ending was the same as the previous one. Only it lasted a little longer. Through these two jobs, I truly understood entering a new industry is not just changing a job, it is rebuilding your abilities. You have to recognize yourself and do what you like and what you are good at. Stepping into an unfamiliar field means investing more time and energy. And time for an ordinary person like me is often even more precious. Being told no was not something personal. It is simply how society works. The idea of being result-oriented became much clearer in my mind. At the same time, this experience allowed me to see more and experience more. I learned to walk alone in solitude. After this reflection, my fifth job became better. This is the workplace journey of a man. It is heavy, but it is real. I believe many people have experienced the same situation as I have or are currently going through difficult time. Please do not lose heart. Trust me, if you work hard, stay persistent, and keep reflecting, I will not tell you that you will definitely succeed. But I can tell you this, a low point will not kill you. Avoiding it will. If you find this content meaningful, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for your support and encouragement. Finally, I want to say this is only my personal choice and experience. The world is big and everyone has different paths. Here, I respect every choice because you are the main character of your own life. See you next time. Bye bye.